Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. This is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and as always, I'm joined on our state-of-the-art radio program by my first officer, Jeremy Grapenton. Folks, this will be the final boarding call, so if you please, claim your seats, fasten your seatbelts, kick back, relax, and enjoy the show while Jeremy and I go ahead and delve into the pre-flight checklist, as there really is a lot of news and information to get to before we may fully indulge you with your in-flight entertainment. Well, folks, a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida was attacked by a 29-year-old American-born Muslim who was born to Afghani parents. The shooter's name was Omar Martin. Martin was known to the FBI like the Tsarnaev Chechnyan Mario brothers were, and yet nothing happened. And still, we're told that we have to be understanding of the Islamo Fascists. Then we see all of these attempts to equate it to Christian fundamentalism. But when was the last time we even saw hide nor hair of Christian fundamentalism? Let's see, would it have been the medieval period? The period that these Islamo Fascists want to take us back to? Even then, it wasn't that bad. And so we see that the whole aspects behind this guy was that he worked as a security guard. Even though he was under FBI investigation, he managed to pass all of the background checks. He managed to show mental stability, and that's where he got his firearm from, was working as a security guard. Nevertheless, Obama took time in his address to attack the right of the people to keep and bear firearms, and never once mentioned Islamo fascism or terrorism. And then an acquaintance of mine tried to connect this to McVeigh, Timothy McVeigh, and the attack on the Oklahoma City bombing. And he tried to say that, well, based on your logic, that means that any Christian that engaged in this is pushing for Christian fascism. Well, no, the Islamic State said that their entire purpose and goal is to create an Islamic fascist state. I don't remember there ever being such a group with respect to Timothy McVeigh. And that's the thing. The frothing at the mouth Fabian socialist left-wingers that want to peddle in moral relativism and political correctness, they try and equate these things where there is no equal. They try and skew the entire narrative to fit their idealistic bent, their propagandistic goal and agenda. But of course, it has no place in an open and honest society like that of the United States of America. And that's what we're facing right now. It's as Senator Ted Cruz said, we're at war. And we should have realized this from 9/11 on. But these Fabian socialists, they want to blame America first. They want to blame our Judeo-Christian values and moral foundations first and foremost, because like the Islamo fascists, they are collectivists. Collectivists that are hell-bent on destroying this once thriving, flourishing, and vibrant representative republic of ours. Now, it's interesting to note that the gutless opposition party's presumptive nominee, the New York billionaire, businessman, real estate tycoon, and all-around vulgarian Donald J. Trump, also known as John Barron and also known as John Miller, is taking flack for attacking Obama for not going after Islamo fascism. Well, that's the thing. He never has. And when Trump sits there and tries to say that he'll make exceptions for the Islamic mayor of London, that leaves a lot to be desired as well. And I know that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to sit here and try and say that we're politicizing this. Well, drop it, because Obama politicized it first. It is beyond belief. It is beyond the pale when he sits there and attacks our fundamental and inalienable rights to keep and bear firearms instead of going towards the real pattern. He's doing the same thing here, folks, that he did with the San Bernardino terror attacks, what was it, back in December, I believe. And so we see that that's it. But, you know, this isn't going to fix the problems. This isn't going to get us back onto the path to prosperity, and it's certainly not going to make America any more safe than it is now.
part of the problem is, and first and foremost, Randy, I want to extend our condolences, prayers, and thoughts for the
Absolutely.
families and friends of those that were basically butchered because of this Islamo fascist terroristic individual. Now we've mentioned the LGBT community on previous episodes, and we've added STFU, WTF to the end of it, so on and so forth. See, folks, here's the thing: we are all about the Constitution and all about people's constitutional rights. Everybody. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Latino. It doesn't matter. Gay, straight. It doesn't matter. What we don't like and what we do not condone is when people think that they have extra constitutional rights and they want to push that onto people. Your rights are only enumerated in the Constitution. That's it. Now, we don't agree with their agenda. We don't agree with their lifestyle. We don't condone it. However, it's their lifestyle, and we know individuals who happen to be gay and homosexual, but they don't push their lifestyle on other individuals. So, with that said, we do offer up our prayers and condolences to, again, the friends and families of those individuals. Now, let's get down to brass tacks here. You mentioned Donald Trump. And I find it kind of funny that I haven't seen anything where he's even mentioned this. He'll sit
It's
there
just on Twitter. Just on Twitter.
just on Twitter. So here it is, 8:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This happened 12 hours ago, 14 hours ago, something like that, even longer than that. And he's just now mentioning it, but he'll go after Obama. And I'm not defending Obama in the least bit, but it's kind of funny. See, it's with him doing this labeling thing, pulling a play out of Joseph Goebbels' Principles of Propaganda. He'll sit there and attack Obama. He doesn't call him. He won't call them Islamic terrorists. He won't call them for what they are, and he'll attack Obama on that. But yet, look who's Johnny come lately to the whole issue with this, and now he just finally does it. I don't care how much time he has on his hands or what he's been doing. You are a prospective presidential candidate. If you truly cared about this country, if you truly cared about the individuals you say you do, you would have said something the moment this happened. The very moment it happened. But no, you want to sit there and you want to point your finger at whoever's in office now and place the blame on them for this and that, but you don't even want to come out and condemn it. Until now. What took you so long, Donnie?
Well, I know what the response of the Lion Trumpidians would be. They'd be sitting there claiming, well, he does want to ban Muslim immigration, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at the statement that Texas Senator Ted Cruz made about saying that we need to come together as a country and really fight this. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or not. We need to get behind the Constitution, and we need to say that those who would go against that need to be opposed. That is the type of message that needs to be espoused right now, particularly when you consider just how much the United States is in dire straits right now. And I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing good leadership. I'm not seeing it from Hillary Rotten Clinton, and I'm damn sure not seeing it from the mafioso quafioso who wants to say that, well, maybe it's Obama not saying enough. Yes, that's part of it. But when you sit there and say that you will make exceptions to your ban, when you start negotiating all of these things, when our lives are on the line, I've got a major problem with that because it's not coalescing, it's not lining up with what's important and what the American people want and need right now. And that's part of the problem. I don't think that Trump is capable of feeling any type of compassion, any type of solace or camaraderie with people. And that's a major problem. It shows that, like we have said on past episodes of Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, that he only cares about himself, that that's all he's ever cared about. And unless and until we start seeing that there is a greater good here, that we need to be standing up for and that we need to be fighting for, we're going to continue to see the divisiveness continue. and even accelerate.
Yeah. And, again, the whole thing, it points out to, we knew that the left is going to start attacking guns. They're going to come out with this whole gun control crap, so on and so forth. If people want unity, and I'm going to reiterate something here, and I'm going to paraphrase myself, just because I'm too lazy to go and look it up and read it verbatim. I'm tired of all these people preaching tolerance and equality. Tolerance is one thing, but the longer people tolerate these things to happen, the longer they tolerate for these events to unfold the way that they do, and they condone those that are holding political office or running for political office to just stand idly by or continue to attack our rights. Guess what? You want tolerance and equality? You're tolerating this happening, and you share the blame equally for letting it happen this way instead of standing up and doing what's right. The Constitution belongs to we the people. It is nobody else's job or obligation and responsibility and duty but ours to stop these things from happening. This is why we have an issue with gun-free zones. This is why we have an issue when you have public events held on private property where it's announced on the radio and announced on television, hey, come to our event, and then when you show up and you're exercising your constitutional right, when you have the freedom and the right to be at that facility or that event, and then they want to kick you out because, well, we don't like guns. The more people tolerate this, the longer they tolerate it. It goes back to what Benjamin Franklin warned about. People giving up their freedoms for a modicum of safety and security. They're going to lose both.
And it goes even deeper than that. What we see right now is that people like Bernie Sanders, who was the first to come out and blame firearms, they want to blame an inanimate object. Remember that Bernie Sanders came out and said that Islamo Fascism was because of climate change. You see, this is how detached from reality these frothing at the mouth Fabian socialists really are. They are moving against our fundamental and inalienable rights. They're attacking all that matters. And for what? What purpose do we gain from any and all of this? And the fact of the matter is we gain nothing. There is nothing to be gained from it. But we know that this is the modus operandi of the left. They do whatever they can to drive a wedge in between the American people, to go into this game of divide and conquer, to try and make us be wrong. And you'll see this with a false equality that they try and draw between, say, Christianity or Judeo values or any of these other values. They try to roughly equate it to this barbarism that we see thrust upon us by these Islamo fascists. And that's the thing. These people are fascists. There is no other way to describe them. There's no way to sugarcoat that or candy coat that. And I'm sick and tired of moral relativism trying to come in and saying there is no right and wrong. Murdering somebody just because of who they are, that is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, what their skin color, what their ethnic background, what their sexual preference is. You are taking the life of an innocent person. You are depriving them of life without due process. That is murder. It is the unlawful taking of a human life. Period. I don't care who it is. And again, this is part of the problem with our legal system. It's, looked upon as, well, this person, they try and make excuses for these individuals. And that's what's happening here. And when they make excuses like this, all they're doing is nothing more than what they've done in the past. They've taken the word liberal and hijacked it. They've taken the word gay, hijacked it. They've taken all these different words and phrases, and they're hijacking them. Equality is another one. They've hijacked equality. It certainly doesn't mean now what it does within the confines of our shared Constitution.
Yeah. And it's what's happening is we're seeing all of this escalated violence. We're seeing all of these attempts to just destroy the United States. And the Fabian socialists want to sit there and try and make it about us because they've already join themselves at the hips to these Islamo fascists that have no interest in our freedoms, that have no interest in what it is that matters wholly and truly to the American people. It's our fundamental right. And as you were saying there, it doesn't matter what type of persuasion you come from. It doesn't matter what your skin color is or whether you are homosexual or straight. None of that really encroaches upon your right to life. We may disagree vehemently with what these people believe and push for. And that's fine. We can disagree, but that doesn't mean that we want to go out there and hatchet them to death or shoot them or blow them up. Mm-hmm. But that's what the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media is trying to create. They're trying to equate us to these people, and it's just not true.
Well, within the confines of the Islamic religion, they say that they're against, homosexuality and this and that. But yet, how often... Well, here's a couple of examples. Prime candidates for this. To prove that they're frauds. Their so-called religion is fraudulent. Remember Uday and Qusay Hussein?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were some of their crimes that they were actually looking at being charged with, or were charged with, in The Hague? Well, that was pedophilia of young boys. And people say, well, that's pedophilia, that's different. No, the fact of the matter is it was with the same sex. It was okay for them to do it. Because, why? Because they pulled rank and file on individuals because of who they were? It makes it okay. And now we have the same individual that committed this atrocity in Orlando, Florida, belonged to the same group of fanatical retards that Uday and Qusay belonged to. And who gets attacked? Christians.
Of course.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's no different than Adolf Hitler, who was a cultist. Everybody's saying, well, he was a cultist. He didn't believe in the Christian faith.
He believed in iron and blood.
Yes. And little known fact that a lot of people probably don't realize, but Adolf Hitler, he practiced homosexuality on certain occasions.
Mm-hmm.
As did many, many, many of his Waffen-SS and Gestapo.
Well, and even the SA. I
Yes.
mean, Ernst Rohn, all of that. Yeah, it's typical. But, Obama, despite all of this, comes out and blames our firearms, yet continues to flood America with so-called refugees from Syria. And all the while, he's still trying to disarm true, law-abiding American citizens. You see, this is what I have a major problem with. Why is it that we are allowing those who currently wield the reins of political power in this once thriving, flourishing, and vibrant representative republic of ours to go out and obfuscate the truth, to deny what is real, to attack that which is important? You see, this is a major problem. This is why we are struggling in this country. It's because we don't know what's right and wrong. Everything has been turned topsy-turvy and upside down because of these twin cancerous doctrines of political correctness and moral relativism. Mm-hmm. Well, it is time, high past time, that we put an end to this. Yes, America should stand in unity, but we must unify for our rights and not for twisted political ideas such as political correctness and moral relativism. That is leading us to this sort of calamity.
And I think that's exactly what the problem is right there, Randy. Everybody wants to talk about unifying. We have to unify behind the GOP frontrunner. No. If you want unity, you have to understand or know what you want to unify for first. There's priorities. First and foremost, the priorities that we the people need to acknowledge and put first is our Constitution. Period. We don't swear an allegiance or an oath to be loyal to anybody. but the Constitution. Our military swears an allegiance to it. Our elected officials, when they take an oath, they swear an allegiance to it. Our law enforcement swears an allegiance to it. Randy, you as an officer of the court have sworn an allegiance to it.
Absolutely.
And when I become an officer of the court, I will most assuredly swear an allegiance to it. That is what we need to unify behind. That is what our foundation has to be. Why? Because that's where our principles in Americanism and American exceptionalism begin. But remember, John Barron, a.k.a. the Quaff Commando, he says he doesn't really believe that the term American exceptionalism is a relevant term, and it doesn't exist. Bullcrap. That's how that works. Bullcrap. Oh, and as far as anybody that has an issue with myself or anybody else owning firearms that are law-abiding citizens, I have two words for you. Break out your Greek dictionary, Milan Leve. Period.
Come and take it.
Come and take them.
Yep. You know, it's tragic what happened to the victims. Our hearts and prayers go out to them. Remember, the right to life is a fundamental and inalienable right. Doesn't matter what somebody espouses, but the left always uses a crisis to attack our rights. That's what they've done all the time, and they are still doing it. Now, in fact, there's this group called A Million Moms and Dads Against Gun Violence, and they put out this meme that says, Congress, we are not interested in your thoughts and prayers. We are interested in your gun control policies. Well, 1 million moms and dads against gun violence, here is what the gun policy should be. The Second Amendment.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment. It's not rocket science. You don't need Dr. Ben, I'm a victim Carson to come figure this out for you. And if you do, there is something terribly wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lobotomy would help cure you. I don't know.
Yeah, and that goes all the way back to what we were talking about with these tentacles of the Fabian agenda. Moral relativism, political correctness, revisionist history, and indoctrination of our youth. Mm-hmm. It's not just indoctrination. When I say indoctrination of our youth, I'm not talking about just grade school kids. I'm talking about college kids, too. College students.
Postgraduate.
Yeah.
It goes all the way through
postgraduate. Hell, Randy, I'll even take it so far as to say even some of these individuals that are teaching college academia don't even know.
Well, sure.
And if they do know, they don't care. They don't want to know what the truth is because it disrupts their little lifestyle. I don't care. I really don't care. The fact of the matter is, we have to get back to the primitive when it comes to our foundational principles. And the sooner we do that, the better off this country will be. But if we continue to ignore those principles and cast them aside and abandon them, again, the beatings will continue until morale is improved. And guess what, folks? I have no problem coming on here and speaking into this microphone and verbally beating people until it makes sense to them. In fact, I look at it as a job and obligation and duty and responsibility. Because if we don't do it, who will?
Mm-hmm. And look, folks, we're not trying to politicize this. We're trying to empower the people to prevent these things from happening or to lessen the impact of it. Look, this occurred in a gun-free zone. We have said ever since all of those shootings broke out last summer that this type of gun-free zone is what exacerbates the problem. When you sit there and have a false type of power vacuum created because you're not allowing people to defend themselves, you open them up to this sort of violence. You open them up to the sorts of attacks that these people are suffering. That is what makes it worse. And if we are really going to address this, we need to go back to the basics. And the basics are contained within the clear and concise language that compose the four corners of our shared United States Constitution. Like we've said time and again, going back to our first episode, which aired on September 11th of 2015, we must go back to the Constitution. The Constitution is the key. It's really that simple. That is the only way that we are going to bring this country back from the brink of ruination and destruction. And believe me, folks, these people are out for our blood. Look at what they have done. Look at the attacks they have orchestrated. Look at the chaos and carnage they have unleashed. We are not saying this for our own gratification. We're not saying this to boost our egos. We're saying this to stand up for our fellow citizens.
Yeah, and again, the point has to be made clear. It's not up to people seeking office to save us. It's not up to people holding office to save us. That resides with the true sovereigns and ultimate wielders of authority when it comes to the Constitution, we the people. It is nobody else's place. It belongs to us. It's ours. We give them consent to govern us. Therefore, they work for us. They are to be held accountable. And when they're derelict in their duty, when they want to sit there and talk about gun control, when it has nothing to do with it. Here's gun control. I'm going to lay this out right now. Gun control is not missing what you aim at. That's gun control. That's proper gun control. And when we have the Chiquita in chief,
President Peel and Squeal himself.
yes, when he comes out again, he's following right along the lines of Cass Sunstein. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Let me be clear on this, that, we have to tighten the reins on the guns and keep them from... Shut up! I'm tired of hearing you flapping your gums about this. Knock it off, shut up, and do what you're supposed to do. Because it's your job to execute the laws faithfully in accordance to the Constitution. And that means not abridging the rights held by we the people. You want to do it, again, Milan LaVey. That's how that works. And there's more of us than there are of you.
This is one of those the more MOAR moments from...
Yeah.
Imagine a little fractured star going across. Bling, 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 bling. The more you know... this is a perfect case in point as to why the Founding Fathers gave us the Second Amendment. We have to be able to defend ourselves. Again, gun-free zones have contributed to this tragedy. And all of these groups, like the Brady Camp, what is this? The Brady Bunch times 2?
Yeah.
This is the story of a jackass. And,
Moms demand action.
Yeah. I mean... How about drunk drivers against mad mothers? That forms what? Damn, right?
Yeah.
We see here that what they're trying to do is deprive us of our rights. They're trying to make it to where nobody has the ability to defend themselves. And when they come out and they try this crap of saying that, well, we need to just get rid of the right to keep and bear firearms, how well did that work in Paris? Have we forgotten that Paris had a very, very bad terrorist attack back in November?
How well did that work in Nazi Germany?
Oh, it didn't.
Or China. Or Italy. Or Russia. I mean, it's become so asinine and so redonkulous. And yes, I said redonkulous because that's about what it amounts to. Okay? Mm-hmm. That, again, it's this whole motif. It's all about, well, feelings. Everybody could just be, tolerable of everybody else, and we could just have all this lovey-dovey feelings. Blah blah. Go hug a tree and hope I hope to God you get splinters in every orifice of your body. Knock it off. Stop trying to.
Well, while they're hugging the tree, we can use a hatchet.
I don't understand why people capitulate to this incessant need to infringe upon people's liberties. I understand the agenda that's trying to take our liberties away from us. I understand that it's all one organization. It's the Fabian Society. It always has been. They're the ones who came up with the idea and the moniker of, well, to destroy the United States, all you have to do is make them assimilate to 3 things: drugs, alcohol, and pornography. And that's happened. And now that has opened the floodgates from the usher in, again, political correctness, moral relativism, revisionist history, and indoctrination of the youth.
Mm-hmm. But, what we should be doing on a national scale here is attempting to educate people as to the Constitution and why their rights are so important. As with respect to all of this other crap, enough is enough. The greater good of America calls on us to defend our sacred rights. That is what we here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, are all about. That's what we've always been about. That's the only thing to unify around, is the supreme law of the land, which, pursuant to Article 6, Clause 2 of the United States Constitution, is the Constitution itself.
6-2 or fight.
Exactly. We stand with the families, friends, and loved ones of the victims. We are determined to make America safer by ensuring that we all know our rights and our obligation to be vigilant in the protection of those rights. When people are attacked like this, we are all attacked. This is the community of the popular sovereigns, and the sooner we realize that, the better off we'll be, because that would be taking us towards the steps of what's necessary to bring this country back from the brink of these sorts of attacks, from the brink of ruination, and to really get us back online with what matters.
See, this terrorist attack in Orlando, and that's exactly what it was. It was an act of terror.
Of course.
It's no different than 9/11. It's no different than San Bernardino. It's no different than several of the other shootings that have happened. The Emmanuel Episcopal Church in, I believe it was South Carolina, Charleston.
Yeah, Methodist Episcopal, African Methodist, blah, 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 blah. It's a mouthful. Sorry, folks.
But it's no different. And the narrative every single time from the left has been the same. Tighten up gun control. Why? Oh, by the way, folks, if you didn't catch any of our previous episodes, I think there's a reason why Donald Trump hasn't said anything about this or even come out and spoken about gun control either way. It's because maybe it's, I don't know, Dianne Feinstein's from 2013, her gun control bill.
Weapons ban.
Yeah, her assault weapons ban. He supported it. He absolutely supported it. And here's the thing. People gave us crap about, Ben Carson coming out and saying, well, I don't think that we need to have those types of those assault weapons in urban areas. Guess what? You know what? I live in an urban area, okay? I live in an urban area. Guess what? I have one of those so-called assault weapons. I have an AR-15. Why? Because I refuse to be outgunned. There are individuals, nefarious individuals, in my neck of the woods that have those types of firearms.
Do they practice the religion of peace?
Some of them do. And here's the thing. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to go down without a fight. I have to... See, it's not about wanting these types of firearms. It's about equality. Here we go. See, they want to hijack the word equality. Well, let's apply it to this. Okay? You have gangs. Okay? Where I live, we have gang activity. And those gangs have firearms. Illegal firearms, might add. And let's see. I'm leveling the playing field. I'm making it equal across the board. Because when they come to my house...
Old Colt advertisement, the great equalizer?
Yeah. God created man, Samuel Colt made him equal. And here's the thing. When these nefarious individuals want to come to my house and do what God knows what to me and my family, they're going to have a damn hard time accomplishing it. You know what? They may kill me. They may kill my family. They may ultimately end up doing what they're doing. But I'm going to take half of those bastards with me. I guarantee that. Yeah. Why? Because it's an equal playing field.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that this is the United States of America. We are all in this together. These enemies of humanity are never going to defeat us. But it's important that we start calling our enemy for who they really are.
Yeah.
This, again, has nothing to do with our fundamental and inalienable right to keep and bear firearms. This disastrous ideology of Islamo Fascism is everything to do with the problems that we're facing right here, right now. These people are not our friends. They're not looking to assimilate. They are looking to kill and destroy us. The sooner we come to realize this, the sooner we can begin to put an end to the madness that is attacking the civilized world. Political correctness and moral relativism have harmed us. There can be no question. All you have to do is look at what's happened, and they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off to sit there and say, we can't blame them. It's Islamo Fascists, and we love Islamo Fascists, but at the same time, they went after the queer and we're here agenda. What's to happen?
Yeah, and here's a very important historical note that people need to understand too. These Islamo Fascists, Adolf Hitler welcomed them with open arms.
Grand Mufti al-Husseini.
He utilized them to implement his own tyrannical agenda. They were the only group of individuals throughout Europe that were never demonized, ostracized, or rounded up and put in camps. The only group. And then when their usefulness expired, you got rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And the Fabians were the ones who instituted that. It's the Fabians, again, instituting this, again, with the whole principles of propaganda by Goebbels. You look at Trotsky, you look at Chomsky, Cloward and Piven, Marx, with the Communist Manifesto, all of them. Every single one of them. It's all rolled into one, and people have been duped into believing that, we have to be tolerant. They have religion, freedom of religion, and this and that. Not when their religion, not when their so-called religion is utilized to infringe upon the rights of individuals. Their rights end where ours begin. And it's high time we as American citizens and the ultimate wielders of sovereignty put an end to it. We take our feet, lace up our boots, and shove them straight up where the sun doesn't shine, and out their mouth and floss their teeth with our boot laces. It needs to be done. It's time to take the gloves off. It's time to start fighting fire with fire. Remember, folks, when our country was born with the American Revolution, the British Crown called our founding fathers and our compatriots terrorists. That same moniker is being now applied to individuals who adhere to the Constitution, who will do everything within their might and with their final breath to protect the Constitution, not only for themselves, but for everybody that is a United States citizen. Again, regardless of race, creed, or religion, or sexual preference. And this really drives them nuts when I make the statement that it doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, what their preferences are, we will be there to take up the fight again to protect their rights first and foremost.
Yeah. And to those that would sit there and try and say they're happy that this happened because these people were perverts or that or the other, stop it. Just stop it.
Grow up.
That is not who we are. That is not what the United States of America stands for. It's not what we represent. It's not what we do. You can disagree with them all you want, but again, civil discourse. You see, this is one of the major problems that's facing the United States of America right now as I speak into this microphone and as Jeremy speaks into his microphone. We're seeing that there are these nefarious elements that are only caring about their personal interests, their personal agenda. Stop. Just stop. The United States of America as a representative republic is greater than the sum of its parts. Don't just go out there looking for publicity. Don't just go out there looking to make a name for yourselves. Just quit it, because you are doing more damage than you realize. You are going to make it to where the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media can sit there and more easily paint us with the stereotypical brush that they're attempting to. You're playing right into their propagandistic agenda. Quit, because it's not beneficial to any of us. It's not helping any of us. Go back to the Constitution. The Constitution is the key. as we have been saying on past episodes of Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, as we have said earlier in tonight's episode, as we will say well into the future and to the point of our dying breath, the Constitution is what matters. It is the supreme law of the land. It is the only thing that unites and binds us together as a nation and a people. And the sooner that we realize that, and the sooner that we adhere to that, the better. Because what's happening here is the tactics and strategies of divide and conquer. Human life is more valuable than what these Islamo fascists are trying to do. You can disagree with somebody's lifestyle, but that doesn't mean you have the right to kill them. Good God.
Yeah, and furthermore, when people want to, make those comments like, well, it's fine, it's just, the perverted lifestyle, blah, 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 whatever. Do you know what that does? You know what kind of volumes of disrespect that places directly in your face? It creates a scenario to where you have no credibility. And if you have no credibility, how can you stand up and defend and maintain your constitutional rights when you make statements like that? Because that's no different than actually going there and pulling the trigger yourself. It's no different. It's like the Bible says, a person that has hate in his heart is a murderer. When you make those kinds of statements, those are hatred-filled statements, okay? And see, this is the other thing that the left wants to do with this whole, banning of hate speech. Again, something that they've twisted and molded into to fit their own propagandistic narrative. They have bastardized the word hatred or hate-filled. When you advocate for the death of an innocent life just because you disagree with their lifestyle, that makes you a murderer in God's eyes.
And I'm sure we're going to be attacked, because I've already been attacked today.
Bring it on.
Because they claim that we're politicizing this.
It's already been politicized. We're trying to de-escalate the situation.
Right. Again, we're not politicizing this. I understand that these families and these friends are suffering. What we're simply looking for here is a solution to this undeniable problem. Problem solving means that we have to address what the real problems are, not just look for penultimate answers which have nothing to do with the scope and magnitude of the problem, such as banning inanimate objects.
Yeah.
Look, this is another tool used by those who wish to silence the all-important dialogue that needs to be had in order to start finding solutions. This is why it's so important to foster a fluent and working knowledge and understanding of our Constitution and thereby our fundamental and inalienable rights. We have this discussion in order to not only keep us safe, but to empower all Americans. Isn't that what it's all about?
Well, again, we are the rightful sovereigns of authority. It's we the people. I don't see the first three words of the United States Constitution, we the government.
No.
It's we the people.
We the bureaucracy.
We the bureaucracy. We the whatever. No, it's we the people. And it is only the people that has rights. Everything else in the Constitution pertaining to the government or to the state are delegated authorities. By whom? We the people. Again, it is government by consent of the governed. And the more we tolerate these nefarious individuals and these carnival barkers to come on television, teleprompters in tow, complaining about people exercising their constitutional rights. Really? Really? You know what? The beginning of our country's existence, beginning of our republic's existence, individuals that would do that were tarred and feathered. and run out of town on a rail if they were still alive.
Yeah. Well, they can go Farouk themselves.
Absolutely.
That's what it's come down to. We here in the United States of America are strong and powerful because we understand that our rights are endowed to us by our Creator, the God of nature. Again, this is what they want to attack. This is why they want to equate this Islamo fascist terrorism to Christianity and to the Judeo-Christian morality that is a cornerstone and hallmark of our representative Republican form of government. It is a sick, twisted, and deceitful way to approach all of this. But that's what they're about. They're not about the truth. They're about obfuscating the truth. Everywhere we turn, we see that they are going to double down on their efforts to attack all that is right and good in this once thriving, flourishing, and dare I say, vibrant representative republic of ours. And that's the other thing. When you look at the history of the United States of America, you will see that we have been at war with Islamo fascism almost since the beginning. Remember the Barbary Pirates?
Wars. Yeah, the Barbary Wars, the Quasi-Wars.
That is an intrinsic part of our history. It's something that the Fabian socialist left, the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media, the historical revisionists, all of these nefarious organizations are attempting to ignore this. But it is an integral part of our history. It cannot be ignored. It cannot be candy-coated. It cannot be swept under the rug like these revisionists are attempting to do. We need to call a spade, and the way I see it is when this guy calls up 911 and says, I am swearing allegiance to Abu al-Baghdadi, Dirk Allah Sherpa, and then Obama comes out in front of the cameras and says, well, we don't really know what his motivations were. Yes, we do. He said what his motivations were. Why don't you pull your head out of your posterior? Why don't you stop playing golf? Why don't you tell that little gorilla that is your wife to shut up for a moment about meals for schools and pay attention? I know you're supposed to be a constitutional scholar, so let's go back to what is it that our Bill of Rights protect?
You know what would be fun, Randy? To have the Chiquita in chief on our show and have a debate on the Constitution with him. That would be fun.
You know he wouldn't do it.
He won't do it. You know he won't do it.
I'd rather debate his teleprompter anyway.
Well, at least then, there'd be a fighting chance.
Yeah.
For the teleprompter. Yeah. Here's the thing. You mentioned that individual calling 911 and swearing allegiance to whatever Durka it was.
That was Omar.
Baghdadi.
Yeah, that was Omar Makeen or whatever the
Martine. Yeah.
Yeah, Martine.
Yeah. Well, the moment he did that, if he was a United States citizen, isn't that renouncing your citizenship?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, I believe it is. So at that point in time, when law enforcement arrived, the first thing they should have done was put a bullet in his head.
They did.
Good.
But nobody arrived for 3 hours, and you want to know why? Because it was a gun-free zone. He was the one that called 911. Everyone else was cut off. They couldn't get in, and they couldn't get out. And that is the danger of a gun-free zone. That is what we have been saying at least since the Umpqua Community College tragic there in Roseburg, Oregon.
Yep. Yeah. And
I mean, this isn't rocket surgery. This isn't a Ben Carson moment. I'm sorry. This is simple.
And see, Randy, we can only, say this so many times. And I don't care how many times it takes, but individuals will, they're talking about this again, blah, blah, same old rhetoric, this and that. Well, those are the types of individuals, the old cliche, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it take a bath. It's those individuals. They fit that cliche. They absolutely do. Why? Because they don't care. They don't want to care. It's too much of a hassle for them. It's a burden. But they have no problem enjoying speaking up against other people's rights by utilizing their own First Amendment rights. Remember Jessica Ginn? Mm-hmm. My Little Pony Jessica Ginn. Mm-hmm. See, this is the problem. When you have individuals that well, it's my First Amendment. They don't truly understand their rights because they've been indoctrinated not to. They've been taught not to. They've been taught to not care. People want to talk about this whole unity and equality. Let's talk about true equality. How about this for true equality? Go look up the Equal Protection Clause. Both of them. In the Constitution, the body of the Constitution, and in the 14th Amendment. Go look them both up. Read them. Understand them. Mm-hmm. People want equality.
If we fail to be vigilant with respect to our rights, then we are certain to lose them. There's no way around this. The Fabian socialists see this as the perfect opportunity to attack our rights again. It always seems to correspond with efforts to deprive us of our liberties. There have been many more shootings under this president, and it does raise the significant question of why. Of course, the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media won't cover this. They refuse to ask the question, again, because it would go against their propagandistic agenda.
He's provoking it. He's provoking it. He not only him, but you have people like Barbara Boxer, who, by the way, has a concealed carry license in California. It's okay for her to have it and for her to own firearms, but other people shouldn't have to have access to these firearms. Here's the thing, and I mentioned this on our last episode, I believe, when we talked about the Second Amendment. If people have the viability, meaning the funding, to obtain any kind of arm, meaning a weapon that is equivalent to what the military can utilize, they have the right to own it. They have the right to keep it. They have the right to use it. Is it realistic for a person to be able to obtain a nuclear weapon? No. But should they be able to if they meet those previous factors? Absolutely. I'd have no problem. In fact, the world would be a safer place if each and every one of us had our own nuclear device, Randy.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, logically, if you think about it, sure. Because you don't know it. You don't know who is going to set it off. So nobody's going to set it off. That was the whole auspice behind
mutually assured destruction.
Exactly. Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Look, throughout it all, we must remember that we are a community of popular sovereigns. Any attack on America's citizen is an attack on all of us. This is the notion that has been lost on us. We have forgotten that this truth is an inescapable one. But we haven't forgotten here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. We may disagree with the politics of many, but that doesn't mean we wish this sort of violence and depravity on anyone. That's the beauty of America. We are greater than ourselves. We are greater than the sum of the whole of this nation because of the natural law, because of everything that underpins our Constitution and our representative Republican form of government. Again, this is why the revisionists don't want people to understand the true history of the United States. Because if the people understand this, they are going to stand up to these charlatans, these hucksters, these carnival barkers, these snake oil salesmen each and every time. Because what they are trying to do is deprive us of that which matters. Enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, it's at the point now to where everybody should be invoking that world-renowned one-syllable word with two letters. No. No, you're not going to come onto the airwaves, radio or television, and tell us that you're going to take our firearms away from us. You're going to infringe upon our rights. No, you don't have the authority. You do not have the authority. You certainly don't have the manpower to do it. That's a given. And proof of that, I got two more words for you. It's actually kind of taking this from my dad. Deer hunters. How about military veterans? How about
Concerned-
sovereign citizens?
or concerned citizens.
See, this is what sparked the American Revolution. The British tried to pull this crap. They did not want the colonists to be armed. Why? Because, well, if they were armed, it means that they could put up a fight. Well, the colonists said, no. Thus, the American Revolution began.
Yep. Same thing with the Texas Revolution. It started in the little town of Gonzales. There was a cannon there. And what did the Texans do when Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna decided to turn himself into a dictator and tell them that they had to give up this cannon that was used for self-defense? They hoisted a flag up that was white and black, and it had a little cannon, a star above it, and guess what it said?
Come and take it.
Come and take it. So to all of you who want to sit there and deprive us of our ability to defend ourselves, of our ability to put an end to these rampages put off by little Haji Johnny the Islamo turd, come and take it.
Better bring some friends. That's how that works. Just better bring some friends because... And you know what? I'll be honest. I'm going to be a realist about it. They might get me. But
They might get me too.
but you're not going to get us all. And there's more of us than there are of you. I guarantee it. So, with moms demand action and 1 million moms and dads, you better start growing your numbers. You had better start growing your numbers. And quite frankly, it's just going to be futile for you to do so. It really is, because no matter how big you grow, there will always be more of us than there are of you. Always. See, that's what makes America great. That there is what created the resilience within the United States in its inception of our republic. That has never gone away.
And it never will, because that is the independent character that made us who we are, not only as a nation, but also as a people. You see, this is why it's so important to say you've got to go back to the Constitution. The Constitution is what makes us popular sovereigns. It defines citizenship. It defines and mandates the proper scope and application of government. You see, this isn't just some contrite abstract notion that we're speaking about here. This goes to the very heart of the matter. This goes to everything that we hold near and dear in this republic of ours. And of course, we know for a fact, without a doubt, that people like Nerdface Boy Me Sanders, the Flying Saucer in Chief, get me some Thunderboy liquor, and, let me be clear, I'm going to shove this book straight up my posterior. Those people that automatically go to try and strip and deprive us of our fundamental and inalienable rights, they are the ones that are acting outside the proper scope and application of what matters. They are the ones that are trying to divide and conquer the American people. They are the ones who are not looking out for our best interests. So again, we, as a community of popular sovereigns, need to come together, standing shoulder to shoulder, to stand up for our fundamental and inalienable rights, because guess what, folks? No one else is going to do that. The onus is on us. It has always been on us. And unless and until we fully realize that and stand up for it, we're going to continue to see these ridiculous attacks of trying to throw out irrelevant factoids that aren't even facts, trying to basically be an apologist for Islamo fascist terrorism. I swear, my high school debate coach was sitting there on Facebook trying to say that Timothy McVeigh was the same thing and that was Christian fascism. Except, where was the so-called Christian state? There was no group like that. Islamic State, ISIS, they want to create an Islamo fascist state. I mean, the logic's clear. So, my high school debate coach can go sit on it and rotate until he grows a brain again, because apparently he's lost the ability to think.
Well, here's the thing about Timothy McVeigh. If anybody's read his manifesto, and I have, he's declared, he called himself a socialist. In fact, he, in his manifesto that he wrote while he was in prison in Colorado, in a maximum security facility there, he even said that Bill Clinton was far right of socialists. He was delusional. He was a lone wolf. He acted, well, lone wolf being, the one that ultimately carried it out, but we had, there was Terry Nichols, and I think there was another individual from Arizona, Michael something or other, I can't remember his name right now. But, see, they actually approached the Michigan militia. And the Michigan militia said, no, get the hell out of here. We don't want anything to do with this. And they told them, if you show up again, you're not going to like the way you leave. They showed up again, and they were escorted out of there at gunpoint. And then, first things first, the salivating mainstream media, had ties to militia, and this. They jumped right at that instant to start labeling. Joseph Goebbels would be so proud of them at that point. But wait a second. Timothy McVeigh was an admitted socialist. Joseph Goebbels was a socialist. The media actually is our socialists. See, this is how propaganda works, and individuals want to say, well, you always spun off propaganda. No, we understand propaganda. We understand propaganda more so than propagandists do. Why? Because they are predictable. We know what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and how they're going to do it, and what means or medium they're going to use to accomplish it. This is why we haven't attacked Hillary Clinton. We don't need to. Everybody should already know what she's all about. You have to put your sights on somebody who is the unknown, you don't know what their ties are. This is why vetting the candidates is so important. Now, if people would have spent as much time as we have vetting Obama, we knew Obama was a socialist. We knew he had socialist ties. Hell, he even received money from George Soros in his campaign in Illinois when he was running for state senator. And so does Donald Trump. Yes. So when you have all these individuals in cahoots with certain nefarious actors within the Fabian Society, i.e. Gorgie Schwartz, a.k.a. George Soros, who was an admitted Nazi sympathizer and actually a narc for them, who pointed out where Jews were that were not towing the line for Der Fuhrer, they were rounded up, and he was paid handsomely for it. And he did all of this when he was a teenage boy. He even admitted it. He even said that in a 60 Minutes interview that one of the best times in his life was when he was a teenager working for the Hungarian overlord, Nazi overlord of Hungary.
Mm-hmm. These are the types of people that we have to be vigilant towards. These are the type of people that want to deprive us of our liberty. And believe it or not, folks, these are the type of people that empower people like Martine. Martine's parents were from Afghanistan. And yet we see that President Peel and Squeal wants to continue to flood this country with 1,000 Syrian refugees per day.
Yeah.
Enough. We have got to stop this madness. We have got to look at what is in the best interest of the community of popular sovereigns, because that is what we have gotten away from in this country. And the further and further we divorce ourselves from the supreme law of the land, which pursuant to Article 6, Clause 2, is the United States Constitution, the greater these problems are going to be. The more often we are going to encounter these problems. And with this complicit salivating mainstream media, we see that they are not about the truth. They don't want to put the truth out there. They don't want you to see what is actually happening, because if that were to occur, then they know that their propagandistic narrative is going to be blown out of the water. So they want to rewrite everything. They want to make it fit into some holy hoity-toity type thing that has no connection with reality. Well, we've got to be realists. We have got to realize that Islamo Fascism is a real threat. Stop trying to equate it to Christianity. Stop trying to equate it to Buddhism, Hinduism. That has nothing to do with it. When was the last time anybody of the Hindu faith, of the Jewish faith, of the Christian faith, ran around shooting people because of who they were. Just because of who they were.
Yeah. You know what I find strikingly ironic about this whole thing with Orlando? Just a few days ago, wasn't there a female singer who won some kind of reality show competition? I think it was The Voice or America's Got Talent, something of that nature. And she was signing autographs. An individual came up to her, brandished a firearm, shot and killed her, and then shot and killed himself. Now, where was the outcry about firearms then? Oh, wait a second. That was more of an isolated instance, and they had more of a motive, so to speak. But yet, we don't know who this individual really was, or what his background was, or even his motive behind it. But yet, with this individual in Orlando, we know exactly what his motive was when he called 911 and swore allegiance to Baghdadi. So they use that to jump off for this gun confiscation, this gun control crap. But yet another isolated incident. What is it? Because there were only 2 people who died in that one incident? I think, or the singer's name was Gimme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So because she died and the shooter died due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound, they didn't want to, report on it. I mean, they reported on it, but they didn't want to delve into and open up their Pandora's box of propaganda for that. Be interesting to find out all the information behind that little occurrence. But we're not going to hear it from the salivating mainstream media because, why? It doesn't fit their agenda. It doesn't fit their narrative.
Yeah.
So
it comes down to a story they want to portray.
Sure.
A story that has no basis in reality, a story that is designed to pit American citizen against American citizen. Where does it all end? I would say this is a slippery slope, but it looks like they pushed us off the side of a freaking mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad things have gotten. And that tells you that the health of the nation right now is in dire straits because these people will not divorce themselves from an agenda. They say that they're the compassionate ones. What is there that would be labeled compassionate about embracing immoral, evil, wicked killers? Because what we are seeing pushed forth by Omar Martin and all of these Islamo Fascist state supporters is barbarism. I can think of no other term to describe that. No other term to really paint that out for what it really is. It is Islamo Fascism. It's not Christian fascism. It's not Buddhist fascism. It's not we're queer and we're here fascism. Because look, they attacked homosexuals. So how is this going to tie into the leftist agenda? How are they going to try and twist this? Oh, they're going to try and equate it to Christianity and then say that, well, you see, Christians don't like the queers either. Quit it. Just quit it. Because it's not realistic. There are not rainbow farting unicorns coming straight out of a freaking tornado that's throwing out rainbow-colored hearts that explode and give candy to starving children from this. Grow up.
Well, this just in, Randy. I'm perusing through my personal Twitter account, and I've just gained a new follower. American Gun Control. Now, I'm on their page right now, and it says, "Hi, we've got a message from the youth of Australia to the youth of America. We managed to control our weapons. It was hard, but we did it. American can do it too. Why don't you shut the hell up and go to hell?"
Why don't you block them?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what's going to happen right now.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was
Done.
coming.
But just in case they're listening, here's a message. Number one, we have something called the United States Constitution. It is our supreme law of the land. Our Second Amendment carries the full force and weight and effect as per the preamble to the Bill of Rights. What does Australia have? A bunch of Kiwi-sucking, down-under, roo-banging, retards that have more problems with firearms now since you've banned your firearms and curtailed your weapon usage and procurement amongst your individual citizens. And you're going to sit here and preach to us? You do realize that you're still a country because of us, right? Yeah.
Oh, those are just annoying little facts, Jeremy. We don't have to go by reality. We have to go by rainbow farting unicorns coming out of tornadoes with hearts that explode and give chocolate to children.
Yeah, well, they can go to hell.
This is
Screw
all
'em.
Count Chocula. This is all Count Chocula's secret, sinister plot. He and Ronald McDonald are going to use the Halliburton time, weather, and control device to make Christianity really evil. That is what the logic, or so-called logic, espoused or spewed by these fanatics really comes down to. Because that's about as connected to reality as it is. Yeah. It's like a bad Archie comic. Spare me. Spare me.
Jughead implodes, spontaneously combusts.
Yeah.
Betty and Veronica run and join Jessica Gin. Something to that effect. I mean, come on, seriously. And I hope to God, I pray to God they are listening, or were listening. And I hope we get, death threats like we've gotten before. Why? You know what that means? That means that we're doing something right. When we piss off these individuals, and buckle up, folks, we're going to go through some turbulence here because it's rant time. As you all may know, I am not a politically correct individual, okay? So these roo-bangers from down under can go Farouk themselves until the chickens fly the cows home. I don't care. You want to threaten us? You want to do this? Fine. We welcome it. We love it because it means that we're doing something right. We're getting under your skin, and that means that you're getting scared. You're getting worried because your agenda... You're getting worried because your agenda is about to just fizzle out. You can't stop us. We're here. We're not going anywhere. You're not big enough to stop us. And resistance to our message about us maintaining our constitutional rights and staying the course and being steadfast on that, resistance to that message is futile because eventually you will have to assimilate. You will have no choice. That's how it works. Okay, rant over.
What it really comes down to is our fundamental and inalienable rights are part of the natural law. That means that by their nature, they're timeless. They're just as applicable today as they were 230 plus years ago, as God willing, they will be 230 plus years from now. And I know that we've mentioned that on past episodes of Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, but it bears repeating here, because no matter how many times we reiterate this true fundamental fact of life, the frothing at the mouth Fabian socialists, whether they be from the shrimp on the bobby down there, a dingo ate my baby land, or whether they are George Soros up there in Trump Pet Tower, it doesn't matter. Because they are ignoring the reality of the natural law tenets that underpin this once thriving and flourishing representative republic of ours. But, the truth always has a way of shining through. Mm-hmm. The truth will always vanquish these people. It's as Aristotle said in The Art of Rhetoric, it's much easier to sell the truth because people will more easily believe the truth.
Well, because the truth has no agenda.
I know, that's the Blaze's motto there.
Yeah.
But it's true. The truth is what sets us free. The truth is pure. It's ideologically pure. And purity is a good thing, particularly in the arena of politics. But we see that for generations now, the American system of polity has been polluted and perverted by these jackbooted Fabian socialists riding their rainbow farting unicorn chargers into the center of town because they think that their little ideology is going to convince us that what they are preaching is the truth. No, I'm sorry. But a rainbow farting unicorn charger is just that. It's made up. Just like their entire agenda is made up. They're pulling this out of their posterior and they're wanting us to believe it as the truth. Why don't you show me where these rainbow farting charger unicorns live?
You know, at this moment right here and right now, I'm compelled to grab the biggest bag of Skittles I could get my hands on, smack them upside the head with it, and tell them to taste the rainbow. You know, it's... And by the way, unicorns actually do exist. They're called rhinoceroses.
Yeah, but that's not quite...
No, it's one of those things that have been bastardized yet again by the left.
Of course.
You know, it's... all because of political correctness, revisionist history, indoctrination, yada, yada, yada. Ooh, touchy-feely, be tolerable and tolerant of this and that. You know what? I'm going to jump back onto a rant here regarding the word tolerance, okay? The only tolerance that I believe in is when I'm hand-loading my ammunition, I adhere to strict tolerance to where I don't overcharge my hand loads to where they blow up in my face and destroy my weapon and cause grave bodily harm to myself or other people surrounded by me when I'm shooting. Mm-hmm. That's tolerance. Tolerance equated in with gun control means I don't miss what I'm hitting. I don't miss what I aim at.
Well, and that's what aim is. Aim is gun control. Again, the twisted game of semantics.
It's ridiculous. It's asinine, and it's beyond stupid. In fact, these individuals aren't even smart enough to be stupid when it comes to this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because they don't care.
Well, again, it's all about an agenda that has no connection with reality. Yeah. Why did they always want to blame America first? Because they realize that at the heart and center of this amazing representative republic of ours is its most open and honest natural law system that has ever been devised by the hands of men. We have the longest contiguous, uninterrupted running constitutional document in all of world history. That is not some small feat, but they want to make it appear as though it's some insignificant thing, some triviality. Well, it's not trivial. What we have accomplished here shows that we did something right. And, you know, it brings up that old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're tinkering with it. They're monkeying with it. They are trying to destroy it. Well, enough is enough. We see the type of destruction, depravity, anarchy, and chaos that it unleashes upon this community of popular sovereigns. And that's not good. What they are doing to us is destructive by its very nature. And of course, this isn't going to be discussed by the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media because they don't want it to be. They don't care about the truth. That's what it comes down to. They just care about making us all suffer so that they can forge this new dystopia based on Fabian socialism. But where has socialism, wherever it's been adopted in this world, ever worked? The answer is no place, nowhere. It does not work. It is an intrinsically flawed system that has no place in an open and honest society like that of the United States of America. Folks, we aren't just saying this to stroke our egos or to balloon ourselves up. We're saying this to empower you. Don't take what we're saying at face value. Rather, we want you to look into this. We want you to find the truth for yourself, to empower yourself to stand up for your fundamental and inalienable rights, because that is what our founding fathers would expect us to do. And the sooner we realize this, and the sooner that we start working towards that goal in a unified fashion, the better off we'll be. Because we will be able to expose the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media, all of these nefarious Fabian socialist politicians that are out there attempting to strip and deprive us of our fundamental and inalienable rights, which were endowed to us by our Creator, the God of nature. This really is not some Marvel concept. It's not rocket surgery again.
Yeah. And once more, the beatings will continue until morale is improved. It's very simple. You know, people don't like things happening to them. I don't like things happening to me. And God knows I've had a lot of stuff happen to me. But I'm still here. Why? Because I've made the choice to persevere through it. I've made the choice to educate myself. I've had instances where things have happened, and because of my own ignorance on certain laws or my rights, things didn't pan out the way that they should have. That doesn't happen anymore. Mm-hmm. Because I've been empowered. And again, like you said, we don't do this for ourselves. We do this for everybody else. This isn't about us. This is about our republic and everybody who is a sovereign citizen within our republic. If we can't take care of our own house, we sure as hell don't have any jurisdiction or authorization or authority to point the finger at somebody else and say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. We have to be willing to accept our own responsibility first. We have to maintain control and viability of our own house, meaning our republic. That means holding people within our household accountable. And I always go back to using these euphemisms and these, these, what's the word I'm looking for? These scenarios of equating things to a house and people's home. Why? Because it goes deeper than just me making that compare and contrast. Because everything starts with the family unit. It starts at home. It starts with we the people, and then it branches out. It's not just, this scenario of an armed robber coming in and you protecting your family. Because that's what's happening here, folks. That's exactly what the Fabianists are. They are armed robbers coming into your home, hell-bent on total death and destruction of your family. You want to talk about unity and unifying? We the people are a family. We are the largest family walking God's green earth. We may not be blood related, but we are blood related. Because throughout our history, so much blood that's been shed in order to maintain this family unit. That is what binds us together. Because all that blood that was shed in order to maintain the perpetuity of our republic was done so in accordance and allegiance to our shared Constitution.
And it has to be that way. It's the way that our founding fathers designed this republic to work. Again, when you look at the preamble to the United States Constitution, it starts with we the people, not we the beloved bureaucracy, we the bureaucracy that wants rainbow farting unicorns everywhere in every house. It's beyond belief just how much they are attempting to dumb down the true ultimate wielders of popular sovereignty in this country. They want to deprive us of everything that matters, and that is a great tragedy in and of itself, because it shows that the up-and-coming generations, and indeed those generations which have yet to be born, have been foisted with this wholly intellectually disingenuous attack on their fundamental and inalienable rights. And nobody really wants to talk about it or find solutions for it. But we here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, do. That's part of what the constitutional compositionist movement is all about. We are here to ensure that our fundamental and inalienable rights are protected so that the up-and-coming generations can exercise and enjoy those rights with even greater ease than we ourselves were able to do so. And that's what our founding fathers expected us to do. This isn't just me pulling a rabbit out of my posterior. This is the truth. Because when you look at the way that this country was founded and what this country stands for and represents, you see that it is about this idea that the United States of America is a nation of laws, not of men. But the way that the Fabian socialists want to go about this, and the way that the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media have been painting this, they want us to think that if somebody is of a certain religion, somebody's a certain race, somebody's a certain gender, or somebody's of a certain belief, the law should apply differently.
This is why I've made the comparison before regarding the Israelites at the foot of Mount Sinai. You can look at Dathan, the individual that got everybody all worked up and got them all into heathenistic rituals and, you know, making the golden calf and idolatry and all this other stuff. Well, Dathan could be equated to the individual that started the Fabian Society. Without a doubt. And what happened to those individuals when Moses came down and presented the Ten Commandments? He told them, he says, you're undeserving of this. You're undeserving of it. I do not want some divine entity to tell we the people we are undeserving of our Constitution. I don't want anybody to tell us we're undeserving of our shared Constitution. It is ordained by us, by we the people, for ourselves, but our posterity and our future generations. And like you said, Randy, this is what our founding fathers intended this great experiment to be.
And it has to be. By its very nature.
There's no other choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's tragic that we find ourselves in this position. And we find ourselves here because we have allowed them to sink their claws into society. We got into this complacent view that this could never happen in the United States of America. That is one of the most dangerous political lines that has ever been put out there, because it shows that if we just believe that we don't have a government that would ever step out or infringe upon our rights, then everything's hunky-dory. That is unrealistic. That's the idea of where these imaginary sorts of divisions can be foisted upon us. Again, you see that all of these things are about balkanization, about attacking our true national character, heritage, spirit, and identity. And that is what the Fabian socialists have been doing for 150 plus years.
And see, our founding fathers lived through that. They were living through it while they were building our nation, our republic. That's why they were so adamant about having our Constitution. That's why Thomas Jefferson penned the Declaration of Independence. See, a lot of people seem to think that, you know, they'll quote the Declaration of Independence and say, well, I know my rights, you know, and they'll quote the Declaration of Independence, and to a certain degree, they're correct in doing so, but they need to understand that the Declaration of Independence was a document formulated and written for a specific purpose, and that purpose came to be realized in 1787. What was it, 9 years later?
Yes.
8 years later, 9 years later?
Somewhere about that.
With the Constitution, which, again, was done in secrecy because we had the Articles of Confederation. So, if they would have, you know, if it would have been known that they were doing this to actually reformat our government, our republic, they could have been hanged for treason.
Mm-hmm. It really does come down to that. And it shows, again, why it's so important to have this fluent and working knowledge and understanding, not only of our shared United States Constitution, but our fundamental and inalienable rights. All of the foundational documents tie together and work together in unity. We have to take all of them into consideration, and that includes the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and the United States Constitution. And, you know, these can be found anywhere on the internet. They're free to be seen and read, and, you know, it's important that we take the time to delve into that, because
we owe it to ourselves.
Yes.
We owe it to
ourselves.
ourselves.
The foundation to build our country further, to safeguard our fundamental and inalienable rights. And that's what we here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer, are all about. We are about expanding our horizons and protecting those rights and enacting those rights and exercising them to the best of our ability. And we want to empower the American people so that they can achieve that. And that means standing up against these charlatans whenever they attempt to use a crisis for their benefit. Now, with that said, it is time for us to begin our descent. I'm going to go ahead and send the flight attendant back for one last round of alcohol. We can guarantee you that she won't be trying to grab your guns or blame your religion. As always, folks, I'm Randy Wright, and I've been your captain, and I'm joined by my first officer, Jeremy Grapington. We want to thank you for choosing to fly the Wright Flyer. We invite you to leave any questions, comments, or concerns you may have, either here on our YouTube page, our Google Plus page, or our Facebook page. And on top of that, we invite you to follow us on Twitter with the Twitter handle at Radio Aviation EX. One more time, folks, that's at Radio Aviation EX. There you will find the departure board that lists my personal Twitter account, the personal Twitter account of my first officer, Jeremy Grapington, our Blogspot page that lists audio blogs, and then there's the Cafe Press account. Tell them a little bit about that.
Well, again, we have to mention the shot glasses, just because, this whole gun ban thing. Yeah, folks, I guarantee you our shot glasses are not banned. And they're actually really easy to control, as is many
Just
of
use
our.
your hand.
Yeah, it's very simple. T-shirts, hats, dog tags, license plate covers, so on and so forth. Various different novelties and trinkets. Show your support. Show your friends and family that you are empowered. That you are doing this because you owe it to yourself to understand our shared Constitution.
We do this for you, folks, and we will never abandon this fight for our liberty. Again, we want to thank you for choosing to fly the Wright Flyer. We'll see you next time. Do take care.